Yes, Sanam, we are good to go now. We are live on YouTube. The meeting is recording. You
Okay.
start now. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you,
All the
dear.
best.
Yes, thank you. Hello. Should I start?
Yes.
Okay. Yesterday was a dream. Tomorrow is a vision. But a day well lived makes every yesterday a dream of happiness and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Good evening, everyone. This is your host for today, Anam Sheikh, an alumni of B.N.N.College, and welcome to the workshop, a 15-day national level e-workshop on UGC NET JRF in English, organized by the Department of English under the patronage of Padma Shri Anna Sahib Jadhav Bharatiya Samaj Unnati Mandir, B.N.N. College, Bhiwandi. It gives me immense pleasure to extend you warm welcome on behalf of the organizers, Principal Dr. Ashok Wagh, Dr. Sukhdeep Nikam, Head Department of English, Chairman, Board of Studies, University of Mumbai, and Dr. Shashikant Malunkar, IQAC Coordinator, who has clubbed all of us for this a 15-day national level e-workshop on UGC NET JRF in English. It is a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome the guests who are present here to attend this workshop. On behalf of this institution, I offer my regards to all the organizers and the people joining us today. I convey my regards to the chief guest of the day, Meenakshi Srivastava. Thank you so much, ma'am, for accepting our invitation for online workshop. The schedule of the seminar will focus on the topic research methods and materials in English. This workshop intends us to motivate and guide the UGC NET aspirants as well as to introduce the best strategies involved in cracking the exam on the occasion of the centenary celebration of the birth anniversary of Padma Shri Anna Sahib Jadhav. Welcome everyone once again. Thank you for joining us for today's workshop. Even though this conference is the marker of the success of our institution, it allows us to meet some of the brilliant minds of the country who became the chief guest of this occasion. We welcome you, ma'am, on behalf of the entire English department of our college. I would like to give introduction to you all about our eminent speaker, Ms. Meenakshi Srivastava. I find immense pleasure in introducing a speaker, Meenakshi Srivastava, who had been working as an English faculty in Government College, Namli Ratlam, Madhya Pradesh. She has submitted her PhD thesis, Viva awaited, under the supervision of Dr. Ruble Verma, Associate Professor, School of Studies in English, Ujjain. Her topic of research is psychonarrative dimension in the select stories of Catherine Mansfield and Alice Munro. She worked as a guest faculty in Government Arts and Science College, Ratlam. She had completed her MA from Vikram University, Ujjain in 2001 and MPhil in 2002 from the same university. She is NET and SET qualified without teaching experience of 18 years in undergraduate. And postgraduate level. She has done PGCTE and PGDTE courses from EFLU Hyderabad with an A in both courses. Her areas of interest include literary theories, narrative, stylistics, and women's short story writers. No research without action, no action without research. Quote Levin. Today she will address us about research methods and materials in English. Research in common parlance refers to a search for knowledge. One can also define research as a scientific and systematic search for pertinent information on a specific topic. In fact, research is an art of scientific investigation. It is actually a voyage of discovery. We all possess the vital instinct of inquisitiveness. For when the unknown confronts us, we wonder, and our inquisitiveness make us probe and attain fuller understanding of the unknown. This inquisitive is the mother of all knowledge and the method which man employs for obtaining the knowledge of whatever the unknown can be termed as research. The purpose of research is to discover answers to questions through the application of scientific procedure. The main aim of research is to find out the truth which is hidden and which has not been discovered as yet. What makes people to undertake research? What are the types of research? What are research approaches? All this question which arises in our mind will be answered by distinguished academic keynote speaker, Ms. Meenakshi Srivastava. I now request our esteemed guest to take the stage and deliver the keynote address. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Anam. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Ashok Wagh and Dr. Sudhir Nikam for giving me this opportunity to be the part of the 15 days national workshop on UGC NET JRF in English. Today, the topic that I am going to discuss is research, methods, and materials in English. To start with, let me share the screen.
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay. As I said, the topic of today's discussion is research, methods, and materials in English. As the topic suggests, there are 4 important things: research, methods, materials, and English. To start with, this is the last topic or the last unit of the NET syllabus, which is added recently. Usually it was the implicit part of the paper, but now it is explicitly given the recognition. As I said, there are 4 important parts, that is research, methods, materials, and English. Research, as research methodology, is also the part of first paper, but this is particularly given part in research in the subjective part because of the certain reason. To start with, as it is about English. So English has 2 aspects, that is literature and language. And therefore the research methods totally differs from the social sciences and natural sciences. So I will start with the topic. The topic that I'm going to discuss is first, that is research, the understanding the concept. That will be the general concept about research that we all know. Then second, that is research, its nature. Why we are particularly focusing on the English part. Then the most important part is literary research, its features, then methods of literary research, and then the various methods, that is biographical research, bibliographical research, critical approaches, literary thesis, formatting, that is MLA, and the last part that I'm going to discuss is about the question pattern. To start with, a very simple thing, what is research? In the simplest term, research is to see what everyone else has seen, but to think what nobody else has thought. That is what research is. Now, the research, understanding the concept. When we come to research, there are 3 important things, that is reading, studying, and researching. When we talk about reading, reading is a basic language skill. It is our habit to read. the known language. We read unconsciously the hoardings or the headings, etc. Reading word has many connotations. We read a novel, but when it comes to studying is a more intensive process. Whenever we have to prepare notes or whenever we want to give some review, we study a novel. For pleasure purpose, we read a novel, but whenever we have to analyze a novel, we study a novel. But research is something different. Research is more than a study. It is like looking or interpreting things from new perspective or a very different perspective. It may be there, the things may be there, but research is to see it from a new angle and to define it in a new manner. When it comes to research, the word, as we all know, it is made up of re and plus search, that is re prefix and search. Just like remake or redo, it is also the searching of something. But in the modern context, it has changed its meaning. Now it is more of a technical term than just a prefix added to the word search. When we see the word search, it is about to looking something. But when we add re in it, research, it is not re-looking something, but looking at the thing with a different manner. That's why in present time, it has changed its meaning as well as it has acquired more important part. It has important part in our life. When we talk about in a simple manner what research is, it is a systematic investigation in a field of knowledge to discover or establish facts and principles. Now, as we all know, when we study research methodology, we all know that there are various definitions of research. I'm not going on to all the definitions of research as we all have read it, but the basic thinking, what actually research is. When we study something, we can study for pleasure, but when we research something, there is a particular purpose behind it. And whenever there is a purpose, there should be some systematic order in it. That's why the very first thing is that research is a search or investigation, but with a purpose. It is a systematic arrangement of things. It is for some gaining some new knowledge. It is to widen our perspective and our understanding to the things. It is opening ourselves for the new knowledge. That is what research is. And that's why with this definition comes the basic features of research. What are the basic features of a research? As I said, research is always done with a purpose and there should be a proper aim. And that's why research should be very systematic and it should have a critical investigation. When it comes to critical investigation, that is, the researcher should not be biased. It should see all the aspects and the researcher should ask the thing, the right or the wrong, and see both the aspect. That's why research should have a critical investigation and step-by-step process. That's why it should be very systematic in approach. Next, it is an intellectual activity because it gives us a new opening to the things. It not only widens our perspective, but it gives us a new insight to the things. And it requires a lot of intellectual activity. It requires a lot of understanding to the things. Next, the feature of the research is that it aims at the discovery of new facts and the fact information. It not only discovers new facts, but it also sometimes corrects the information. There are certain things that changes with time. And research with the same thing. It amend things, it alter things, and it gives us a new perspective towards the things. It sometimes not only gives the new facts, but it also revises the old facts and theories. And it is practical application of new or revised conclusion, theories or laws. And the last feature of it is it Again, as I said, that it is a revised thing. The same thing can apply to the literature also. As Eliot has said, that continuously the book changes its meaning and every generation adds something in it. So similarly, the research adds something. It is not only about the new thing, it is also about the revision of the old things, theories and laws. Now comes the most important part, why research methods and materials in English is added into the net syllabus of the subjective part, as it is earlier the part of research methodology of the paper one, but now it is given the prominence in the main part also. And the reason is, when it comes to research, research differs from subject to subject. Its nature changes from subject to subject. When it comes to the methods and materials in natural sciences, the object is to study the natural phenomena. That is, they can create natural phenomena in the laboratory. They can experiment things. They can recreate things. They can replicate things in the laboratory. And that's what natural sciences, the main method is the observation and experiment. When it comes to social sciences or humanities, here we study humans. Here we study behavior of humans. Here we study the society. Here we study the complex nature and the complications of the society. So therefore, again here we have observation, but humans cannot be experimented in laboratory. And as humans are different, so no two people are same. That's why we cannot say the one law is applicable to the other human also. That's why social sciences research is different from natural sciences. But the third, the next thing is, when it comes to literature, when it comes to literary research includes, as it studies literature, and literature is the product of a creative mind. It is the expression of human thoughts, and that's why it includes both the things. It has certain nature also, and it has society also. And that's why literary research is totally different. Its method is different. Its materials is different from the natural sciences and social sciences. As we say, literary research studies literature. Literature is the work of art created by a creative mind, created by the writers. And that's why when we study a literary text, it is wider and comprehensive. And that's why the tools that we use of literary research are totally different, or they, I should say, the amalgamation of natural and social sciences, because it includes both. So what is literary research? Literature is an eloquent and artistic document, infinitely varied, of mankind's journey, the autobiography of the race soul. Now, when we talk about literature, it is, if I define literature in one simple word, it is the expression of human beings. Whatever emotions, whatever things we go through, we try to express it. And literature is that expression through words. And that's why if we want to know the evolution process, if we want to know about the race, it is easy. Only we have to read the literature and we know the whole history of human beings, history of human journey, as well as the development and the variations or varieties of human nature. And that's why literature is has a wider perspective. And that's why the literary research has altogether that wider perspective. What is literary research? The literary research is systematic study of this artistic document. It is discovering the truth and enlightenment of criticism. Why we research in literature? That is, we want to discover the truth, because literature is actually it reveals truth. It develops our critical ability. And that's why research is to discover that hidden truth that is lying behind the literary work. Now, when it comes to literature, there are literary research. Again, we can study the work as well as the writer. And that's why the objective study in the literary work and the work is the product of an individual imagination and intellect. That's why what is important that we have to study the writer also, and we have to study the work also. And as there are various influences on writers, particularly the society, so that's why the literature become all inclusive. It has everything in it. And that's why we study in literary research every aspect of work and the writer. Now, when it comes to the kinds of literary research, when we talk about a literary research, research, there are various. There are basic and applied research, and then there are all different types of research. But when it comes to literary literary research, there are 4 types of literary research: biographical, bibliography and textual, theoretical, and interpretive. What is biographical research? Biographical research is the study of author's life and work. It is not popular in India basically, but it requires a lot of efforts, and a lot of researcher works as a historian to collect all the data here. Bibliographical and textual research, it is again to find the correct or the authentic text, the real text, to find the good text. The textual research is the authoritative, it establishes authoritative text and it corrects the past edition. That's why we have Shakespeare's good folio and bad folio. Now we know about that thing. It is only because of the bibliographical research that we come to know the right edition or the good edition of the works. Theoretical research, this kind of research is like basic research in natural and social sciences. Its aim is to propound a theory of literature or modify an already existing one that we usually do. And most common that we do is interpretive. That is, we apply certain theories on the particular work and then we study that work of the writer. These are the 4 kinds of literary research that we usually do in literature. Coming to the methods of literary research. These were the kinds, and now what are the methods? As the topic is research, methods, and materials. So when we talk about material, material is, as it is literature, so it is the books and the works of the writers, that is the material. But when it comes to methods, there are different methods in literary research. The first is biography. Now, it is one of the most important method of research because it studies the writer, the creative writer, not only writer as a creative writer, but also as a person. It has both the aspect. And it is only through this that we come to know about the writer's life.
Ma'am.
Hello?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes.
Could you stop and start sharing your screen again? The slides aren't moving.
Okay, just a minute. Now I share it again.
Yes, ma'am.
This one?
Yes, ma'am. It is visible as well as the slides have changed.
Okay. So previously, is it not? It was not visible.
No, ma'am.
So should I share it again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just a minute.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
From here?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We have discussed literary research. These are the kinds of literary research.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay. Okay. So these are the kinds of literary research. The 4 types, that is biographical, bibliography and textual, theoretical, and interpretive. And the kinds of literary research, again, as I said, that it is biographical research, that is the biography of the writer, the study of author's life, his personal life, as well as the mind and the art. Bibliographical research, that is the textual research, in which we try to establish the authoritative text, or we correct the past edition, we give the chronological order and authenticity to the text. Next part is the theoretical research, in which it is more or less like basic research in natural sciences and social sciences, and its aim is to propound a theory of literature or modify an already existing one. Last one, that is interpretive, and this kind of research is like applied research. Here we try to analyze, interpret, evaluate a literary text of an author by applying the principles of a particular theory. Now, after the kinds, the methods of literary research. Material, as I said, is the work, writer's work, but there are various methods through which we can research those writers. And the first is the biographic or the biographical research. Again, it is very important research method, as it gives glimpses to into the writer's life as a writer and as a person. As there are so many anecdotes regarding his story about a writer, so this biographical research gives an opportunity to unveil that veil that is in front of the author's life. Now, the concept of literary biography came in existence in the 17th century. It was through the Johnson's work, that is Lives of 52 Poets, that it comes into existence. Before that, most of the time the ancient writers were anonymous, or they are shrouded with the mystery. We don't know much about those writers, and still there are certain things that we don't know about the writers. But it is after the 17th century that the concept of biography came into existence. And the first or the most important milestone in this is the Boswell's Life of Johnson. It has not only given opportunity or the new way to the biographical research, but it also gave part to the many different types of biographies that later on developed in it. There are various categories of biography, and a researcher can study biographical researcher can study it in a various manner. The first is the biocritical biographies. Second, biographies focusing on the milieu of the author. That is the particular age of that author or the particular period of the author. Biographies that narrate the life story of a writer from ethical and moral point of view. And psychological biographies dealing with the inner working of writer's mind. That is to tell what is going within the mind of the author while creating a work. There are many stories regarding this, and this all we came to know through the biographical research. Now, how a biographer or the researcher collects this data? It collects first from the official records of the author. Second, it collects through information contained in semi-official reports, statements occurring in the statements or writings of the author's circle, and material derived from the author's statement. When it comes to the official records, it is about the details of birth and the other information. It comes from the official records. Semi-official, the interviews and the other things that a biographer collects to know about the author. A statement occurring in the statements or writings of the author circle, that is something which is said about the author, or if author has said something. Everything is collected by the biographer, and that's why the researcher is not only just a researcher, but he is a historian also, because he collects materials from different sources for the author's biography. And he has to search all the autobiographical elements and statements, not only from the thing or the records, but also from his writing also. So that's why the biographer collects everything from the records. And after collection of the data, then he has, as it is a very larger body, so it gives, arranges it, and then gives the chronological order. And then he scrutinizes and do it or correlate it with the important works of the writers. And in this way, he prepares the biography. And that's why this is the method of the biographical research. Another part of method is of history of ideas and technique. When it comes to ideas, so every literary work has two aspects, form and content. As we study a literary work, it has a particular central idea. And as I said, that no writer lives in vacuum. So there are many influences on him. He has a particular ideology that he follows, and everything is visible in his work. It can be sometimes implicit and sometimes it can be explicit, but there is always a central idea behind his work, and that is a researcher studies that central idea in that work of the writers. In India, researchers use this method to research, and that is they try to trace the dominant and subsidiary ideas of creative writers by analyzing their literary works. Next aspect of the same method is the technica. Every writer has a unique technique. No two writer has a similar way of writing or expressing their thoughts. And that is the study of technique. It includes the narrative techniques, the plot construction method, the characterization, imagery, and even the linguistic aspect or the language in which they are the way they are using the language. So that's why this is a method also to study the technical aspect of the work. Next comes the bibliographical and the textual criticism. The bibliographical research, it suggests that the main purpose of it is to give us the authentic version of the text. That is the study of the original text. Now there are various editions of a text, and there comes the edition for children, there comes the edition for adults, then there are certain critical editions, and then there are certain various different abridged and unabridged editions. So all this comes in the study of bibliographical research. That is the first, if a researcher is started or thinking about doing it or bibliographical in the method using, try to use this method, first he become the editor. That is, he has to edit various editions. He has to first, again, there are two ways when a writer or researcher become an editor. First, he has to think whether it is the first time that writer he is getting the manuscript or it is the previous work that he is getting. The main purpose of bibliographical research is to find the authentic work, then giving it an order, authenticity, and then also telling us about the source influence, from where the writer has found the influence or from where he get the inspiration. Next, method is critical approaches and theories. Now, as we all know that there are various critical theories nowadays, and the main thing is that we apply these theories on the work of literature to study it or to interpret it in a different manner. And there are new criticism, psychoanalysis, and various other theories that is applied on the work. And such a study has given the new interpretation to various works. This is the basic trend, that people started researchers started applying such theories on the work and giving the work a totally different interpretation. That's why now we have many eco-criticism is being applied to the Ruskin Bond's stories to give it a new light. And that's why the same thing applied to the various things, the feministic theories, the Freudian theories, everything they are applying on the work, even in the old work, to give it a new interpretation. Now, after the methods, now comes the second part, that is the literary thesis. Again, it is the important part, and in previous years, it is this part that is usually been asked in the paper, whether it will the first paper or in the second paper. This was the part that was usually asked. That is the formatting and the parts of thesis. When it comes to research, after research, the most important thing is how we are presenting our thoughts. And that is, there comes the concept of literary thesis and research paper. There are research paper, then there are MA or MPhil thesis, and then there are doctoral dissertation. They all are work of research, but they vary in the range and the scope. When it comes to research paper, it has a limited range. It focuses on one topic or one object at a time. When it comes to the thesis, that is MPhil or MA, it has a wider scope, but still it has a certain limitations. It is in-depth understanding, but still it has a much smaller scope, the range, than the doctoral dissertation. When it comes to doctoral dissertation, it has a wider and a comprehensive scope. And here we do not only study about the writer, we study complete works of the writers, and then we try to interpret it in a different manner, or we try to discover new facts in it. So these are the things about literary thesis. Sometimes even such questions are asked, that is, what is the format of the thesis, in the manner in which order it is arranged. So we have preface, then table of contents, then introduction, then main body of the thesis, that includes the chapterization, then conclusion, then we have bibliography, and then appendix. This is the basic format of a thesis. Now the next most important part that usually is asked in the exam, even in the previous year, before this particular topic is included in the syllabus, usually we have the questions regarding the citations and the proper arrangement and how we have arranged the things. So here I have given the core elements as per the MLA 8th edition. The important part is the underlying thing, that is, when we are citing a certain thing, so where to put full stop and comma. Now these are the core elements. In certain entries, we don't have to write the full or the 9 points, but there are certain things that are important in the journal entry, or there are certain important things that in the book entry. The very first thing that we write while citation is author's name. Author's name, in which the surname is written first and then comma, and after that the first name and then full stop. And if we have more than one author, then the first name will be written in the that manner, that is the surname first and first name later. And then after that, we write the second name in the same order, that is in the first name and then the surname. But after that, we will put full stop. Then come the title of the source. And title of the source, again, after that, we will put the full stop in it. After that, there is the title of the container. This usually happens when we have a journal entry. In a journal entry, when we are quoting a particular paper, then the topic of the paper comes in the title of the source, and title of the container includes that the name of the journal. In journal entry, you can have contributors, but in a book entry, we don't have a contributors usually, unless we are quoting it from the book. Version, again, it is of the journal. Number, it's about journal. Publisher, that is from which publication we have, which university praise or anything. Publication that or the publication year. In journal entry, it is the publication spring season of which edition it is, and in publication in book we have year. And then the location. That is, if we are quoting, if we are using quoting certain paper, research paper from a thing, then to which page number it is, that is the location. Not all entries are filled in one citation. There can be certain thing that will be exempted from it. But this is the way one should write, that is author and then full stop, then title of the source, then full stop, then title of the container, then we have comma, then other contributors, then comma, then version, after that we have comma, even number, then comma, after publisher you have comma, publication date you have comma, and then location. There you will have full stop. The most important thing is to remember this punctuation marks, because usually this type of questions is asked in the exam by giving the changes, whether there will be full stop or comma. For that, I have given this is certain example, and it shows the difference between the 7th and 8th edition, because recently such question has been asked. I have written the first, that is Munro Alice. As I said that it is Alice Munro's Dance of the Happy Shades, but the proper way is to write in the first the surname and then the name. Then the title of the book in italics. In 7th edition, we used to write the plays also, that is London, then the publication, that is Vintage, and 2000 year and print. But in 8th edition, they have changed. It is now the name of the author, the name of the work. Then instead of place, we direct have the publication and then the year. Same thing, there is a change also in the way we used to write editor. As we see in the 7th edition, we used to write the in short form, that is ED. But in 8th edition, we have to write completely, that is editor. In the same manner, translator. Initially, we used to write just short form, but now in 8th edition, there is a change that we have to write the translated by. These are the various changes that happens in 7th and 8th edition. And in 9th edition, we have the same pattern, that is this one. 9th MLA has followed the same thing, but it is different in slight different from the 7th edition. And this type of question has been asked in the previous year about this way. They have given the options with editor and translator and two with the short forms. And they have asked in 8th edition which one is the correct entry. So in this way, we have to remember so that we can attempt the question. In the end, I want to discuss about the question pattern. As I have said earlier also, and again I'm saying that the previous year we don't have it has a separate unit. So the questions that usually asked are of the general nature. It is not basically based on research methods and materials in English, but it is more about the research methods or regarding the uh, formatting or about the methodology. But it was never focused on particularly in English. That's why we have the questions in the previous years like this, that about the what is reviewer reviews a research article without knowing the author's name, it is referred to as, in which of the following formats research abstract is a must. These are the pattern in the previous time, but from the when the syllabus has been changed and they have introduced this particular unit, the questions that is usually asked are like this. Like, which of the following combination best describes the typical methodology of literary research? Or what do you understand by textual research? Now we have more focused questions on literary research or the textual research. And previously we have these questions. There are certain books that can be read, but basically they are general on literary research. It is MP Sinha's Research Methods in English that will be helpful to you, and MLA Handbook for Writers of Research Papers, the latest edition, because it will give you insight to the basic formatting and the way we can write citation particularly, because these are the things that are usually asked in the net paper. And the first two are the general about the literary research and the about research in literature. But later one, that is MP Sinha's book and MLA handbook, they will give you the complete understanding of what literary research is, or what are the methods we use in literary research.
Thank you, ma'am. Those were very insightful words for all of us, uh, for research and the methods and the materials in English. And I hope, ma'am, that we all aspirants of NET will be able to clear this exam with your guidance. Thank you, ma'am, so much.
Now, before we end the meeting, there are certain things that I want to share with you. Can I share?
Yes, I'm sure. Yes, I'm sure. You can.
This is about the research methods and material in English. But
Yes,
as a student or as a, I don't know how much I have covered the paper, but these were the basic things about the literary
yes,
research.
ma'am.
But as everyone is suggesting how to prepare for exams or how to prepare for NET, so we all have a list of suggestions for everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
And the most important suggestion that we usually give is to see the previous papers, to look out to the previous papers and to solve them. And I'm just adding in it one more thing that has actually helped me. That is,
It will
when
be very helpful for us. Yes, ma'am, sure.
that is when we solve a paper, we usually think about the question and the answer.
Yes,
What is the answer? And then we come to know that this particular thing is about this writer. But try to focus on the other three options also, because
yeah.
if they are asking a question on a particular thing, suppose they have asked about the campus novel, So there may be just one correct answer, but there will be three more who have written something about campus. So it will give a more comprehensive understanding, because literature syllabus is vast and it's difficult to complete it. So it's better to focus not only on the answer section, but also on the three other options of the paper. And second thing, when we study previous year question papers, it gives us not only the way questions are asked, second, because we study theory, we are either we are either studying the questions and or we are just thinking about what writer has written, the important works and important things. But there are, in that they ask something, that part that we usually skip while reading, and when we study or when we see the paper, then we realize that we have skipped this particular section. So by solving the previous year question papers or by focusing on the various writers, unconsciously started developing that habit. So whenever we read certain things, we start understanding what to study from that perspective. So, so whenever you study previous year papers, just try to focus on the all the four writers or all the four terminology that is given in it. That was something that has helped me. So I'm just sharing it with you all. And another thing that is consistently. That is, you have to study, but in a regular pattern. Just try to read 3 things, or at least regular basis. If you will read, then it will become your habit. And when it becomes your habit, then unconsciously you will start remembering the things, because it is difficult to remember things. It's difficult to remember all the things about the work of a writer. So in a way, you can just be regular and be consistent. It will help a lot. It has helped me, and that's why I'm sharing it with you.
Ma'am, your PPT was very good, excellent. But your experiences you are sharing is very helpful to us. It will illuminate us and guide us, where we all students are hoping to complete this syllabus, vast syllabus of specifically ma'am English literature. Thank you so much. And thank you for your opinions and view. Really, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I wish, ma'am, this conference, you can say this workshop, has enlightened all of us and provide us with approaches with the best strategies involved in cracking the exam.
Yeah,
thank you, ma'am, so much.
Good.
Anything else, ma'am, you would like to share?
Right now, just the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So it's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of those who work round the clock to make this workshop successful. I extend a really harsh vote of thanks to a speaker and presenter, Ms. Meenakshi Srivastava, who spared time from her busiest schedule to grace the occasion. Today we had an opportunity, ma'am, to hear your thoughts. And I hope, ma'am, this will surely be going to encourage us in our future even also, ma'am. Because, ma'am, research is such a subject that it comes in each and every field, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, so much. A special mention to our respected organizer, Principal Dr. Ashok Wagh, Dr. Sudeem Nikam, sir, Dr. Shashikant Malankar, sir, for being the catalyst that stimulated us to do the best and standing pillars of strength. With a deep sense of appreciation, we thank our loving Professor and Hiwag Manik, ma'am, for her untiring efforts and guiding us through entire workshop always. I would like to end by giving the information about tomorrow's workshop, which is on the topic non-fictional prose by the speaker Ujba G. Jadeja. This workshop will be hosted by Kamesh Siddiqui. So, dear viewers, stay tuned with us for tomorrow at the same time. Thank you. Good night. Take care.